Well, what do we have here? A new wireless mouse from Logitech. But this isn't your typical gaming mouse that comes with RGB lighting, a high-performance sensor, or gaming looks that some people are fond of. Logitech has their own division for those type of products. And if my memory serves me well, I think we've taken a look at most of their gaming products. So if you're interested, I'll leave links in the description down below. This, my friends, is the new MX Master 2S. Now, you may recall the MX Master Mouse that was released a few years ago, and as you can see, the new model clearly resembles the old one in every matter, at least from a physical standpoint, but the new guy has a few tricks up its sleeve, so let's take a close look right after this.
Explore your future with the Cosmos 2 case and celebrate 25 years of ambition that drives Cooler Master forward. Enjoy the familiar yet still forward-looking character of the frame with solid aluminum handles. It may be the most physical you'll ever get with a computer case, but it's all worthwhile. Or get creative with any of the 13 storage options that encourage outside-the-box thinking. Meanwhile, the curved tempo glass panels on both sides ensures a lasting impression. Classically trained, but still ready for anything. The Cooler Master Cosmos 2. Let's celebrate the past by building for the future.
Okay, so there's a lot to talk about this mouse, so let me kick things off with its price. At $100, it should be considered as an investment for your daily computing tasks because it offers everything that an average consumer would need given its flagship status in Logitech's performance lineup. They've even covered users who are looking for a budget wireless solution like this M590 for $40, the M720 Triathlon for $50, and a slightly toned down version of the MX Master, the MX Anywhere 2S for $80. My first wireless mouse was this guy, the Performance MX by Logitech, and I loved using it ever since the time I bought it. This mouse was ergonomically perfect for everything I did back in the day. I took it with me to school. It was my daily driver for a few months when I started working for Hardware Canucks producing videos. But eventually Dimitri shed his light on optical gaming mice and I switched over instantly. But I think that would be a cool topic for another video. If you still own one of these, leave a comment down below describing your experience with it so far, and I'm looking forward to those responses. Now coming back to the MX Master 2S, Logitech has maintained a similar design language from its predecessor, the MX Master. To be more specific, you get the same handcrafted design geared towards users who prefer a palm-type grip. I have large hands and I was comfortably able to wrap my palm around the body, and here's a shot of it sitting next to the G4 III. As you can see, they are similar in length, so users with smaller hands won't have an issue reaching the two primary buttons. The button layout hasn't changed whatsoever compared to the MX Master. You're getting the same 7 buttons in total, including the primary left and right scroll wheel button, the hyperfast scroll button that I'll go over shortly, forward, backward button, thumb scroll wheel, and the gesture button under the thumb rest. This has been integrated since the Performance MX, and they've included a lot of cool commands that users can take advantage of on both the MX Master and the Master 2S. For example, I've set it to expose my virtual desktops within Windows, but you can also assign media playback commands to it. For instance, play pause gets activated when the button gets pressed. Holding that button while moving the mouse up or down adjusts the volume respectively, and doing the same from left to right skips or forwards your playlist. That's hands down an amazing feature to have in a mouse, in my opinion. From a design perspective, this is one of the best looking wireless mouse I've seen so far. It's elegant, it's simple, doesn't look aggressive, and that means it should be able to fit in with your desk setup, especially if you're rocking a minimal one. Obviously, the convenience of being wireless is a bonus for a mouse of this caliber, and they've made a few adjustments to the sensor to make it more appealing for users with multiple displays. For instance, the sensor can go all the way up to 4000 dpi versus 1600 on the previous model. Now that high sensitivity is still way overkill for my dual monitor setup because I'm more comfortable browsing around at the 1600 to 1800 dpi setting. But like I said earlier, people with 3, 4, or 5 screens can take advantage of the sensor really well. Now, one of the main selling features with regards to any MX Master mouse, including the Performance MX, is the ability for it to track on virtually any given surface, be it your furnished wooden floors, paper, carpets, and even glass. Thanks to Logitech's dark field technology, the sensor tracks based on micron-sized particles, which appears larger to the sensor and it calculates it precisely well. The MX Master 2S, on the other hand, comes with an infrared LED technology that comes with an optical lens. So that basically means that the sensitivity is going to be a lot better compared to the previous generation. Now, tracking for the most part felt similar between the two in my experience, and that's partly due to the cloth mousepad that I was using to test these. When switching to rougher surfaces, the difference is fairly obvious, and that's thanks to the higher sensitivity on the MX Master 2S. It's obviously nowhere closer to the responsiveness of my G403, and what I meant by that was that the pinpoint accuracy when playing games or even trying to select certain tools within Premiere were noticeable. But again, you have to consider that the G403 sports a precisely tuned optical sensor that's superior among both MX Master mice. But if you're spending the majority of your time editing videos or doing other productive tasks apart from gaming, and I repeat, apart from gaming, the MX Master 2S and the standard MX Master should serve you really well. The buttons on both these mice felt similar as well. They exhibit great tactile feedback with excellent travel distance for actuation. I love the signature hyperfast scroll wheel on both mice, and the Smart Shift technology is a subtle but amazing implementation. For instance, when you enable this feature through software, the scroll wheel defaults itself to exhibit defined scroll steps like this. But when you force your way through Excel documents or long web pages, it automatically switches to the fast speed mode or the fast spin mode. And I think that's pretty awesome. So you don't have to hit the hyper fast scroll button to enable that feature. It's automatic and it works wonders. I also loved using the horizontal scroll wheel when editing videos. Being able to scroll from side to side from your timeline in Premiere or any other productive application is so beneficial, and it could potentially save you a lot of time. Do note that it's just a scroll without click, and it's not defined as the vertical scroll wheel, but rather it's very smooth and pleasing to use with applications. What got me the most were the forward and backward button placements on both the MX Master and the 2S. Now, I'm coming from the G403 that has a fairly simple and larger button layout, but the buttons on the 2S were a little too small for my taste, and it wasn't a seamless experience switching between them. On the other hand, the gesture button right underneath the thumb rest is an excellent implementation on both models. They work just as they should, and Logitech has a handful of commands that can be assigned to this button, so the user has full control of customization, which is awesome. Moving on to battery life, and it's another selling feature for the Master 2S. There's a 500 mAh battery just like its predecessor, and it's supposed to last for 70 days versus 40 on the MX Master. We were told by Logitech that they've implemented a few hardware and software optimizations to get that claim. It charges via micro USB, plus it supports fast charge this time, so you'll be able to quickly charge it for a day of use in just 3 minutes, and that's according to Logitech. There's also a little battery indicator beside the thumb rest that activates when you turn on the unit. The software only displays 3 bars and less depending on the remaining battery life, but I would have preferred a percentage indicator. Perhaps a software update, Logitech? Yeah. Now, I still have to validate those claims because I've been using the Master 2S for about a week now and it's still staying strong. So I guess we'll have to see how it lasts in the long run, but I'll make a follow-up video on that. The fact that it lasts longer than my 3-day power-hungry G403 and not needing to recharge the Master 2S for a couple of months is so refreshing. I wish Logitech implemented a USB Type-C port for charging because it's slowly starting to become the standard now, so perhaps we can expect that in the next revision. The last thing to cover here is the software experience. Just like typical Logitech fashion, it's a much simpler UI with basic controls, and I like what they've done here. You've greeted with a physical overview of the mouse where the user can assign commands to any of these 6 buttons. The point and scroll tab lets you adjust the sensitivity, set directions with regards to scrolling both vertically and horizontally, enable or disable the Smart Shift feature that I talked about earlier, along with its sensitivity and a few more settings. The lack of a visual indicator for DPI levels is a bit disappointing, but I think I'm spoiled by reviewing tons of gaming mice. Now let's talk about Logitech's Flow feature because it's one of the most important selling points for the MX Master 2S. It's basically a cross-computer control and file sharing system baked into the software, and it only works with the Master 2S, so the regular MX Master owners will be completely left out of the equation. It's pretty simple to set up. All you need to do is install Logitech's option software on the desired computers of your choice, and there's a limit of 3. In my case, I was using the unified receiver to pair the mouse to my desktop and Bluetooth for my laptop. Make sure that all your computers are connected to the same network, as this feature heavily relies on both the network and the switching mode built into the mouse. The software guides you really well through the setup process, and after completion, the mouse automatically switches cursor movements between computers by moving it to the edge of the screen. It's a seamless transition and works really well. As you can see, the user can arrange their screen orientation for those quick switches. You can also copy and paste documents from one system to the other. Mind you, that only works with the right-click functions on the mouse rather than the keyboard shortcuts because the mouse acts as a gateway in establishing that center point when communicating between systems. Transferring files depend on your network strength, But overall, I'm very impressed with this implementation. The 2S does support both the Mac and PC platforms, plus the DPI scaling shifts automatically when switching computers, and I didn't experience any bugs, so that's awesome. Now, if you're not a fan of Flow, you can always disable that feature and use this button to switch between systems. Flow is just an automatic switcher, but keep in mind that the copy and paste feature will be disabled.
It's time to take illumination seriously with Vengeance RGB DDR4 memory by Corsair. With incredibly bright LEDs and uniform color spread, add a touch of classic color that is fully software controllable and compatible with a wide variety of Intel and AMD platforms. More info in the description below.
Alright, so I think it's about time to gather my concluding thoughts on the MX Master 2S from Logitech. You see, this mouse is intended for a different type of audience, and gamers are certainly not a part of that. You know, people who work with a lot of numbers, scrolling through Excel documents, long PDFs, and long web pages, or basically anyone who values ergonomics should get the MX Master 2S or even the MX Master. Both of these are identical from a physical standpoint, but the newer one is supposed to last a lot longer in a single charge. It also comes with a higher DPI scaling, and it supports Logitech's Flow software. So if you value that, then this might be a great option. Now, price-wise, the MX Master can be picked up for around $70, at least at the time of making this video. But I would wait for the 2S to go on sale, because that's likely going to happen given Logitech's history with sales on the MX Master. If you're looking for a smaller version of the MX Master 2S, the MX Anywhere 2S is a great option. Plus, it comes with the same sensor as the Master 2S and support for Flow, so that's awesome. Well, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed this comparison between the MX Master 2S and the MX Master. What do you guys think of these mice? For example, do you value Flow, or does Flow interest you at all? Leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to check them out. I'm Ibar with Canucks. Don't forget to subscribe for more similar content, and we'll see you in the next one.